people like them to be quick. And two is you see a lot of weird things in the video. Like I'm really pretty positive that I just saw Chris Kaufman, our city manager, take the mayor's temperature, which is kind of an odd thing. But I do want to start by thanking the Brumleys. That just kind of warmed my heart. You know, the way our community rallies together is amazing. So God bless what you're doing, and God bless you for it. Thank our chamber president, Mike Scott. He is just an amazing individual and just so blessed by his leadership in our community as well. We truly live in an amazing city, an amazing county. The governor of Texas is speaking at the same time that I'm speaking, so most of my staff is probably listening to the governor speak to find out what's going to happen as far as reopening schools. And so I will find out at the end of this call what's been decided by the governor. But for those of you that are wanting information about reopening, I can tell you right now the governor has closed schools across the state of Texas. They are closed until May 4th. And again, in the next few minutes, he'll be making an announcement about the future of education for the remainder of the year for 6 million school children in the state of Texas. So I'll tell you, let me just begin by telling you I miss a lot of things because we don't have school. I saw Todd Garner, who's in my Sunday school class. I miss sitting next to him at basketball games and just having conversations. I miss going to Rotary Club and sacking weekend meals with Mike Loader and Cody Garrison and our Rotarians. I see Julia Pinnell and J.C. Campbell on the call. I miss having them schedule meetings in October to discuss every single detail of a Memorial Day celebration that won't happen for 8 months. And I just, I got a text last night from Ms. Pinnell saying that they were looking at probably a virtual Memorial Day celebration. And it really is, I know that's where we're at right now, but it kind of broke my heart because we're a very patriotic community, and I know how much it means to her and Mr. Campbell and all of the veterans in this community that we're having to go through these changes. I miss, I think growing up in the South, it's especially hard on us. You know, I was growing up when you meet somebody or you recognize somebody, you go shake their hand. And today, when I opened my email, I saw a picture of two people shaking hands and kind of one of those X's through it, like you're not allowed to do that anymore. And I think that's especially hard on a community like Granbury, where we enjoy shaking hands and hugging on each other and loving on each other, especially when it comes to the school system, because it's been tough. It's I think emotional for everybody to stay at home because we are a social society. Before spring break, I was asked by Mike Scott to deliver a speech, I guess, to the chamber luncheon, or speak at the chamber luncheon. And I was excited about that. 2 times this year, Granbury ISD has made national news. The first when we gave all of our teachers money to purchase supplies for kids at the beginning of the year. And the second time we made national news was at a football game where the opposing team didn't have a band, and they were going to skip the national anthem. And the Granbury High School football team stood on the sideline and refused to move forward without singing the national anthem. And they sang it a cappella, and just certainly made me so proud of our students. And, you know, we were in the process of getting ready to launch an early childhood facility, a child care facility for our staff, a two-way bilingual dual language program, really build a robust academic curriculum when all this hit. And we had put together a video. So if you'll bear with me a second, is there a share? Let's see. I'm going to see if I can get this share option. I'd like to play this video for you guys real quick. Just kind of highlight some of the things in the district. Let's see if we can get it up. In Granbury ISD, In Granbury ISD, our G 2025 strategic plan is focused on three principles: innovation, engagement, and leadership. With an emphasis on innovation, we have made great strides with initiatives like our career and technical education program.
Granbury High School is certainly innovative. I think it's an 89,000 square feet CTE center alone. There's classes from aerospace to nursing to engineering.
In our engineering program, we do have a lot of new and cool technology that we use, such as the 3D printer, the laser, and we actually get to build machines and learn how to code a little bit.
This includes everything from aviation and engineering to health sciences and business, as well as culinary, agriculture, public safety, and much more.
What you're able to do in each of those programs just gives you a wide variety of choices for careers.
We also have an incredible STEAM Academy at Membrino, providing elementary students with hands-on learning and problem solving through science, technology, engineering, the arts, and math.
It's a different way of learning. Instead of just like having a sheet of paper and doing math or science, we get to actually engineer and build things.
No matter the grade or campus, we want our teachers to be innovative in the classroom, making use of technology to enhance learning and ensure the success of every student.
The biggest thing would probably be the introduction of Google Classroom. Teachers put their PowerPoints on the classroom, so I'm able to go back and review over the notes on my own time.
It's a lot easier to have Chromebooks and iPads rather than having like textbooks per se, because it's easier to get the information quickly.
It's a different way of learning instead of just the teacher standing up there and telling you about it.
G 2025 also includes a new dual language academy that will allow both English and Spanish speakers to be immersed in both languages, providing real skills that they will carry with them the rest of their lives. Secondly, the G 2025 plan is about engagement. We want to make sure that we're not just engaging our students in the classroom, but we're reaching out and engaging the community around us. With a district-wide reading initiative, G 2025 will shape our students through literacy and comprehension that will extend to all subjects.
I love reading. Reading is so much fun to me. I've been able to expand my vocabulary ever since I've gotten really into reading.
This focus on small group instruction and guided reading models will make sure that kids will become confident readers at an early age. Coming in 2020, an early childhood academy will allow us to reach down and work with kids as young as 3 and 4 years old through full-day pre-kindergarten. By investing in these students early, they're going to have much more success later in life. And we're excited about a new partnership with Tarleton State University that will provide automatic admission to a large percentage of our senior class, as well as scholarships and college credit that gives them a head start for a bachelor's degree and even a master's degree.
The benefit of taking AP and dual credit classes is the preparedness it gives you for the real world.
Granbury High School is already helping me get some college credits through the dual credit program, but I also think it's teaching me how to be a better person with everyday classes.
We also take great pride in extracurricular activities such as athletics, fine arts, JROTC, and more. The G 2025 encourages every student to be involved in a club, organization, or activity because we know engaged students are connected to school and will perform better in the classroom.
Stories has taught me a lot about not just dancing, but other real life skills like holding yourself accountable, time management, organization. Through JROTC, I've learned how to speak up for myself and make confident decisions.
As far as the band goes, I really think that it's teaching me about being a good person.
And finally, the G 2025 is about leadership. We want to encourage our students to be leaders both on and off the campus. Through the GISD Day of Service, students converge on the community to perform service projects that will help enhance leadership capabilities.
Serving the community is very important. You're helping people that really need some help.
We're a community and we need to work together to make it better, and we serve each other and respect each other.
We also believe that teaching character to students from a very early age can have a positive impact far beyond graduation as we prepare them to be leaders in our community and in the world. We are blessed in Granbury ISD to have the opportunity to work and serve the kids in our community, but it truly takes a partnership with all of us pulling together to make sure that these kids are put on the right path that leads to success. All right. They did a good job on that. I tell you, we have some amazing kids in our district, and in 20 years of education, I've been through school shootings, I've been through tornadoes that have hit schools, I've been through hurricanes that have hit schools, and I've not seen anything bring all the schools in the state of Texas to a halt the way that this virus has. And if you'll bear with me, one of my mentors, Dr. Russell Marshall, a longtime superintendent, he shared an analogy with me one time. And it was about an old maestro who was playing a violin in front of a large crowd. And as he was playing that violin, one of the strings broke on the violin. But he just kept playing, and the music was just as beautiful. And then all of a sudden, another string broke on the violin. And the audience kind of gasped a little bit, thinking with two out of 4 strings down, he would have to stop. But he didn't. He just kept playing as best he could. And the music still was nice. But then all of a sudden, the 3rd string broke. And when that 3rd string broke, everyone just knew that he would have to stop playing and quit, but he didn't. He finished out his performance with the 1 string, and afterwards they asked him, why didn't you give up? Because obviously the music could not have been as nice as it would have been had you had all your strings. And the maestro made the comment that you play the hand you're dealt. And that's very much where we're at in the Texas public school system. We certainly didn't ask for this. We didn't want to be in this situation. I can tell you that our teachers, they love kids. They choose education because they want to interact with kids. They want to make deposits into the lives of kids each and every day. Our parents didn't choose this. Our parents send their kids to public school because they do not want to be homeschool teachers. And all of a sudden, the script has been flipped on them, and now we're having to facilitate while they're at home learning. And so certainly it's a difficult time for our parents and our students and our teachers. We are blessed to be in a great community, and Mr. Scott mentioned this at the beginning. Our county, our city, our board of trustees, our hospital with David Orcutt, the leadership in this community has really stepped up, and we've been blessed. And so to all the leaders, all of the leaders of our civic organizations, everyone on this call, we are grateful for the impact you've had. You've made it easier on us. Something I like to do in my morning meetings is I go through the status of the facts with what's happening in the state. And I'd just like to cover a few of those with you to let you know what we're doing during this time. Right now, Granbury ISD is serving nearly 1,000 lunches every day. You know, it's hard for a kid to learn if they don't have food in their belly. And so we're making sure that our kids are fed. And we got a lot of good partners like Mission Granbury that are helping work with us on that. We've also given out 3,000 laptops, just over 3,000, I say laptops, Chromebooks to students to make sure they have the technology in their home to be able to learn virtually. That's the equivalent of nearly $1 million in technology we've given out to students. We've provided 2 truckloads of medical supplies to Lake Granbury Medical Center, and we've also taken medical supplies to the Lake Granbury Physicians Clinic as well. We've donated supplies to Granbury PD, the Sheriff's Office, the Emergency Management Coordinator. Right now we have a partnership with Bond Arms, where you saw in the video our 3D printers. We're actually making masks for first responders and for Granbury Police Department. Masks that can be cleaned every day and just a new filter inserted, making sure that we take care of the people of Hood County first. And then we still, in addition to all that, we're still delivering virtual instruction to 7,500 kids every day. Last week, I had the opportunity to hear the comptroller speak, and you could actually read this on the Texas Tribune if you're interested. But he talked about the Texas economy, and I'd just like to share some things with you. That, as you know, there has been a rapid slowdown in the Texas economy. The sales tax deficit, I think, has hurt everybody, especially the city, the county, and the state. While people are going out to the grocery store and still buying groceries, all that revenue that we get from eating out at restaurants, that sales tax revenue is not coming in. In addition to that, people aren't staying in hotels, so we're not getting the hotel tax revenue. We're not seeing revenue from car sales or goods or services. And then to compound it, because Texas typically is insulated when there's a national crisis, You have the Saudi-Russia oil war that's going on right now. And if you've been following that at all, you know that it's really dropped the price of oil. And you can see it at the pumps. I mean, it's been a long time since gas has been $1.39 a gallon. But 15% of the budget in the state of Texas is actually made up of oil and gas revenue. And when the comptroller figured the budget for this biennium, he was looking at $40 to $50 a barrel oil. And now we're sitting at about half that. So, you know, there is some good news and reason to be optimistic. In Texas, we adopt a budget biannually. We don't ever adopt a deficit budget, and Texas has more financial reserves and fund balance than any other state in the union. And so I think those are all good things. But in the words of our comptroller, Texas is already in a recession. And his preliminary estimates for the 21-22 biennium is a deficit of several $1 billion. And he's been telling all public entities that they need to prepare for significant budget cuts. You know, in Granbury ISD, we're blessed to have a very conservative school board that has been very proactive. And I know Mark Jackson, our board president, is on this call, and I would imagine that most of our trustees are. And for those of you who don't know, each of the last 5 years, our trustees have lowered property taxes. They've worked hard to maintain an incredibly high fund balance just to prepare in case of a situation like this arose. We have a AAA bond rating. And 2 months ago, right before this crisis struck, they paid down some of the old bond debt on old facilities that we had and refunded current bonds, saving just over $14 million to taxpayers. So financially, you know, we know that there's some hard times ahead of us, but as a district, we feel confident in where we're at and where we're going. Most importantly, I think for us is that this crisis has given us the opportunity to step up and to partner with the hospital, the city, and the county. And you know, you see a lot of negative information from schools across the country. You see online on Fox News something happening at a public school in California, and you think to yourself, oh my gosh, I cannot believe that is happening in the public school system. And you think that it applies to Granbury ISD. Let me assure you this. In Texas, school districts are independent. We are all independent school districts. You're not going to find that anywhere else in the United States. Everybody else is just a school district. We are an ISD. And that means that our school board reflects the values of our community. And so we're grateful that we have a strong conservative board that's prepared and proactive in times like this. And for those of you who are out there who are pouring into our school district, I just want to thank you. We hope that we're able to get out and reach others and help others, but most importantly, you have given your time and your talents to help our kids, and that's huge, especially knowing that 52% of our kids are economically disadvantaged. And in Granbury, we have the highest of the highs and the lowest of the lows. And so for those of you that are helping the kids in this district, I commend you and thank you for that. We do continue to do great things here, the partnership with Tarleton. Not only are they giving the top 25% of our seniors automatic admission into Tarleton State University, they're making sure that every one of those kids gets at least a $1,000 scholarship, with the top 10% getting a $2,000 scholarship, and the kids at the very top receive right at $5,000. And so, you know, good things do continue to happen. You know, we just today, our second plane that our aerospace and engineering class built, I saw it go up in the air this morning for the second time. So just overall, I want you to know that we're going to move through this. We're going to move past it. The district is in good shape. We have our struggles. Academically, we know that we deal with a lot of poverty. We deal with a lot of generational poverty, which is poverty that tends to be more apathetic, and it's a harder cycle to break. But we have people in place, and we're putting programs in place to reach kids earlier and provide support to parents earlier, so that we can break that cycle and get kids involved and becoming a productive member of our community. And so a big push that we're going to see next year is going to be an early childhood education. So with that, I feel like I've rambled and went on a long time, and I know these meetings can get, you can kind of zone out when you're looking at a screen. So there is a chat feature. I'm happy to take questions. I see there's 34 up right now. I'll stop and take questions, or from the field. How do you want to do it, Rachel? Or I can keep talking. I've got a lot more.
Thank you, Dr. Glenn. Maureen is going to handle the questions. So as y'all guys have questions, please put those in the chat box. I'm gonna real quick hop over and go ahead and do door prizes to give y'all time to get those questions in there. And then Maureen will hop over to you. Real quick, Jack Parsons with Metro Geek has a few door prizes for us. And Jack, if you can, just tell us a little bit about what those door prizes are. I'm gonna unmute you. You there, Jack?
I'm sorry, say again, I apologize.
Oh, I just wanted to see if you could tell us a little bit about the door prizes that you've got available today.
Oh, yes, we have 3 of the Metro Geek goodie bags. Each one has a water bottle, a lanyard, a flash drive, and a notepad.
Awesome.
And we'll throw in a roll of toilet paper for everybody.
I love it. Okay, so Mary, I'm gonna hop over to you now. Mary has set up the door prizes and she's going to do the drawing. And then we will have all of the door prizes available at the chamber this afternoon. And then we will coordinate a time with you to come by and pick those up. So Mary?
Okay, so I have 4, right, Jack? I'm gonna pull 4 in my little box that I have here. I put everyone's name in here. It's not pretty, but
It's 3, Mary.
I'm the only one who has to read my writing. So if I pronounce your name wrong, I apologize in advance.
Hey, Mary, there's only 3.
Oh, it's only 3? Okay, my first winner is Dustin Nelson. Our second winner is Jamie. I know I'm gonna say this wrong. Binford? Bineford. I apologize, Jamie. I know your name. It's just leaving me today. And Mark Jackson. Those are our 3 winners today. Congratulations. Thank you for being on the call with us today. Good job.
Okay, and y'all can just call the chamber or send us an email and we'll coordinate a time with y'all to come pick those up. So Maureen, I'm gonna head over to you. It looks like we've got 1 or 2 questions. So if you wanna ask those, and then if anyone has any more questions, feel free to add those in the chat box.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, I want to say thank you to everybody for joining us today. And of course, thank you to Dr. Glenn for your leadership with the school district. I'll just selfishly say, as a mom of a daughter at GHS, the teachers are doing an amazing job. The amount of emails that we get from the teachers, making sure that everything's good. You're providing great leadership, and the administrators at the schools are providing great leadership too. So as a parent, I'm going to say thank you. Okay, so you have a question from Miss Jean Kate, and she would like to know, how is the school going to handle graduation?
Okay, I actually just got a text in that the commissioner is going to provide us more guidance on how we're going to handle graduation. So I may have to punt that one a little bit. Here's what I can tell you before I just received that text, which has kind of my mind reeling. We don't want to hold a virtual graduation. I know a lot of schools have talked about the idea of just a slideshow and families can gather around the kitchen table and watch a slideshow of the seniors. We absolutely do not want to do that. If there's any way possible, we want to get families together. We want to have graduation. Do I know what that's going to look like? No. Will it likely be delayed? Yes. Ultimately, we're going to make sure that whatever we do, we take precautions, we follow state guidelines, and we protect the health and welfare of our students and families. But right now, the idea that seems to really make the most sense is just backing it up a month or 2 and then taking appropriate precautions to have graduation. Likely, it won't be in Fort Worth. As you know, there are restrictions in Fort Worth, so probably we'll follow in the footsteps of districts like McKinney and Allen, and we'll just hold it at our football stadium outdoors in one evening.
I'm not seeing any other questions. If anybody else has a question, if you could please enter it in the chat, we'll be happy to have Dr. Glenn answer that for you.
Real quick, while we're waiting on that, I do want to thank everyone for attending today, and thank you so much, Dr. Glenn, for speaking and giving us an update on the schools. I know this has been a tremendous load for y'all to take on the transition over as a parent as well. Thank y'all so much for everything you're doing.
And let me share this, just because it is, my phone just blew up, so I'm going to take the 4 or 5 people that have texted me as factual information. But the Governor Abbott did just close schools for the remainder of the year. Now keep in mind, that means the brick and mortar school itself is closed. Virtual learning will still continue. And then hopefully we'll reevaluate. We do plan to have a pretty robust summer program this year. So academic instruction running all summer on an optional basis, an opt-in basis. But it looks like schools will be closed for the remainder of the year.
Rachel, we did have another question come in from Ms. Horak. She would like to hear more about the Early Childhood Center, the main focus of the center, and what teacher opportunities will there be?
Oh, that's a great question. That's a great question. So, you know, a part of my passion, my belief, you know, just again, as a fiscal conservative, if we're going to invest in kids, it's a whole lot cheaper to invest in them early. So we're going to start grabbing kids as early as 3 years old, kids that qualify, meaning our military kids, economically disadvantaged kids, kids that under state guidelines are allowed to start the 3-year-old program early. We're going to pull them in, and they're going to start a pretty rigorous curriculum. And then from there, we're going to have a 4-year-old program. It will start with qualified kids next year, but after next year, we want to open it up to the entire community. We believe if we can get kids a year earlier and pour into them a year earlier, then we can have them at a much higher level whenever they leave. So especially as we're talking about trying to teach an additional language and increasing ACT and SAT scores with our kids, we certainly want to grab them as early as possible and begin pouring into them. As far as teaching opportunities, we'll have not only certified pre-K teachers, and there are Texas pre-K guidelines set up by TEA to be a qualified pre-kindergarten teacher, but we'll also have paraprofessionals in the classroom as well to work with the teacher. Our goal is to have very low student-teacher ratios in those classes. So for every 18 kids, you're looking at probably like 2 adults being in that classroom. And that will eventually be housed at Emma Robertson. It'll house all of the entire Early Childhood Academy for the district.
Thank you, Dr. Glenn. And Kevin Myers wants to know, do you know anything about ACT or SAT testing?
I do. I know a lot, Kevin. What do you want to know? He probably wants to know like me. Kevin, my son, he registered for the April test, and ACT refunded his money and basically told us to re-register for June. So I re-registered him for June. I can tell you, I'm already getting information into my office saying that they're going to refund that and tell me to re-register at a later date. So ACT, SAT, TSI, all of those right now are delayed. And I know we have Dr. David Russell. He may be able to if you shoot him an email, I bet he would offline get you some information on the TSI. I know I'll be contacting about my kids that are going to be doing dual credit next year.
Okay, and then Kevin has a follow-up on that. He's asking, what do you think the impact on admissions will be?
Yeah, so some universities for next year have already started waiving the ACT, SAT requirement, specifically for the class of 2021. So my son is a junior, he'll be a senior next year, and looking to go to school the year after. You know, I don't have an answer for that, but I do think that there are going to be gaps. It would be very naive to say that the virtual instruction could replace what we get out of the brick and mortar classroom 8 hours a day. So one thing we're planning to do this summer is we're going to have enrichment programs specifically related to ACT and SAT prep. And so if you have a child out there or a grandchild and you're worried about the gaps that they may have attained in the last couple of months, just know this. Granbury ISD, as soon as we're allowed to open, we are going to open, and we have teachers that are prepared to come in and start working with kids, and that's our low kids just trying to get up to grade level, and that's our high achievers that are planning to either go out of state to college, or they're looking to go Ivy League to college, or maybe they're looking for a career or military. So we're going to have a pretty robust curriculum ready to launch as soon as we're given the ability to do so.
Thank you. And then we have another question here. With grades being frozen at the high school level, how will GPAs and class rankings be handled for the 2019-2020 school year?
Yeah, and so the TEA has made that a local decision. And so essentially it's going to be a very similar to what you're seeing at the university level. It's going to be a kind of a pass-fail. And so kids that participate in the virtual instruction, they'll be given credit for the class. Kids that don't, they will not be given credit, and they'll have to go to a makeup option on that. As far as the GPA, it will not affect the GPA. We're going to freeze it at the 4-6 weeks. So where kids were coming into class making grades, wherever that GPA cut off at the end of the 4-6 weeks, whenever we left from spring break, that GPA will hold. So their class rank will in effect hold where they're at. And that'll be from seniors all the way down to freshmen. And then from there, it just becomes whether you complete the course or not. So course completion essentially is where we're at.
Well, I just had a GHS kid here at home say, yes, thank you.
Tell her to do her assignments.
Oh, she is. Do we have any other questions? Anybody else have a question for Dr. Glenn? One last question, asking to please repeat information regarding summer school.
Yeah, and so again, we are making plans for summer school. Not only we have, if any of you are parents, you know that during the summers we typically run a lot of camps, GT camps, robotics camps, engineering camps, science camp. We even have like a strength and conditioning camp for athletes. We are going to continue to run those. We'll run them all free of charge, but then we're also going to combine it with grade level appropriate curriculum. We will probably run bus routes. It'll likely be a half a day in probably the month of June and July. Again, all this is pending our ability to be able to open schools with precautions under TEA guidelines.
Thank you, Dr. Glenn.
And, you know, let me just say this. I want to thank everyone on the call. I'm sorry that I went a little long today, but I cannot tell you how much it means to our district, to our kids, to our community. The people on this call, you pour into the lives of our kids and our community. You make deposits in their lives every day, whether you're doing it directly or indirectly. I thank you for that. One of my favorite verses in the Bible is Galatians 6:9. It says, "Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper moment we will reap a harvest if we do not give up." And so I know that it can grow weary emotionally with what we're going through, but I promise you there is a bright light on the other side. And so thank you for your time today. And I just, God bless all of you and Godspeed.
Thank you so much, Dr. Glenn. That's a great reminder to help us get through this time. And we do want to thank everyone again for coming today. We're so appreciative to see all of your faces again, and we can't wait until a time when we can all get together once again as well. We do want to let y'all know we've got some virtual events coming up for the Chamber. We're moving a lot of our events onto the virtual platform so we can still continue to serve y'all and create networking opportunities for you. Our next one is going to be our Member Link Breakfast on April 23rd. We will send out that information via Zoom once we get closer to the date. We do ask that you register just like this luncheon event, so that way we can help monitor the amount of people that we have and make sure everybody gets that opportunity to speak just like normal. We do also have a Lunch and Learn coming up for the young professionals. Everyone is welcome to attend that as well. We'll have Terry Sullivan speaking about how to use LinkedIn to maximize your business connections. And we would love to see you there. Again, registration will be required. That is April 30th at 11:30 a.m. and it will be on Zoom as well. That is all for today. Thank you again for coming, and we'll see you all again soon.
Great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.